The COVID-19 vaccine rollout is well underway, but it has not gone according to plan. The news is awash in headlines about vaccinations going too slow, and the American people are concerned. 20 million people were supposed to have gotten 2 doses of vaccine by now. 24 million have received their first dose, but just 5 million have gotten their second dose. Vaccines are sitting unused, with vaccines distributed to states far surpassing actual administrations. But just as vaccines are sitting on the shelf, states are now complaining that they are running out of vaccines and being forced to cancel vaccination appointments. How is it that we have unused vaccines and vaccine shortages at the same time? Many have pointed to localized distribution bottlenecks and decisions to withhold vaccines for a second dose, and these are likely factors. But what if a major part of the problem was baked into the rollout plan all along? And what if shortages are a sign that we are fixing that problem? It sounds crazy, I know, but let's unpack the entire vaccination process and maybe it'll make more sense. If we think of vaccines as a prize, then distribution will follow two stages. The first is the limited doses stage, where vaccines are given out like a raffle. Distribution is closed and winners are called forward to be vaccinated. Later on, when vaccines are widely available, they will be given out freely like door prizes. So what slows down a raffle? Well, when things work, one by one, people are called up to accept various prizes. Things go smoothly until inevitably a number is called and there is silence. Then someone yells that the person already went home. Maybe another number is pulled, maybe the person is contacted at home, but the important point is that, at least for that moment, the prize is not administered. Then another prize is called and someone says the person is in the bathroom. Once again, the prize is not administered. Oftentimes it can be a loud room, so another prize is called, but the winner cannot hear. So even though the recipient is ready and willing, the prize is not administered. Now apply this concept to vaccinations. Thinking of the room as those waiting to be vaccinated, people are called up to receive their prize, the COVID-19 vaccine. But like with a real raffle, some of those people called up will have already gone home. They do not want to be vaccinated. They've left the room of the willing. The vaccine is not administered. Some people have gone to the bathroom. In other words, they are hesitant. In fact, we are seeing far more hesitancy in early vaccine administration than was expected. A guinea pig effect has emerged, where people are nervous about getting vaccinated first. As one cardiologist put it, I don't think anyone wants to be a guinea pig. At the end of the day, as a man of science, I just want to see what the data show. These people are open to getting vaccinated. They haven't left the building. But for now, the vaccine is not administered. Some people are called and cannot hear that they are winners. By that I mean there are distribution problems that, for whatever reason, prevent those who want to get vaccinated from getting the vaccine. Unfortunately, the vaccine is, again, not administered. So what are these distribution problems? There are many. Maybe that is to be expected. The country has spent a year planning to distribute vaccines, but we are learning that administering vaccines to 300 million people is an incredibly complex machine. Unforeseen challenges have slowed down the vaccination process. Hospitals vaccinated staff by prioritizing those closest to COVID-19 patients before moving sequentially onto other staff. While sensible, this slowed down the process as hospitals ticked through their lists. Further, vaccinating all workers on a hospital floor at once could inadvertently cause a brief workforce shortage as doctors and nurses are out of commission for a day due to side effects. So hospitals have had to stagger administrations to avoid this situation, again, slowing down the process. Long-term care facilities are on lockdown to protect residents, making it more difficult to get personnel in to administer vaccines. Things can no doubt be improved. Some counties are setting up vaccination registration websites, which prioritize people based on living situations, pre-existing conditions, and employment. This gives the county resident-level visibility to plan for upcoming vaccination needs and queue residents up to be vaccinated as their places come up in line. But as problematic as vaccine distribution has been, anecdotal evidence suggests that administrations can occur very quickly, if not chaotically, where there are not limits on who may receive the vaccine. A California hospital rushed to administer 800 vaccines in just 2 hours after the freezer holding the vaccines failed. 1,600 vaccines were administered over 6 hours when a freezer failed in Seattle. This points to a larger issue. Is the so-called botched vaccine rollout due to bottlenecks, or have we just been offering the vaccine to too few people? The over 40 million doses of vaccines that have been distributed around the country to date should have been enough for nearly all 24 million people in Phase 1A to receive a 2-dose regime by now. But we have fallen well short of that. Returning to the raffle analogy, there were enough people to raffle those vaccines off, but it now appears that we underestimated the number of people who would resist or hesitate being vaccinated, or the difficulty in quickly identifying and vaccinating those who did want to be vaccinated. There just weren't enough people in Phase 1A to efficiently replace people unwilling or unable to claim their vaccine prize. Limiting vaccines so that just enough is available for just enough people may prevent shortages, but doesn't fuel enough demand to vaccinate at a constant pace. In fact, considering the difference between distributed and administered vaccines, speeding up vaccinations may require making vaccines available at a ratio as high as 1.5 people for each 2-dose regime. In other words, for every regime of 2-dose vaccines raffled, as many as 3 people may need to be called up to accept their prize, 1 extra to offset the unavailable person. This will maintain a more constant flow of administered vaccinations, but there are drawbacks. Sometimes, particularly where there are fewer hesitant people and better distribution, everyone called will try to accept their prize, and somebody will be left out. So faster vaccinations overall will inevitably mean localized shortages. Not surprisingly then, recent states' efforts to expand vaccine availability to get unused vaccines off the shelf have coincided with the much talked about rash of forced vaccination appointment cancellations. So 1 month into the vaccine rollout, policymakers are at a decision point. If the goal is to prevent shortages, reduce chaos, and stop canceled vaccine appointments, then continuing the rollout in a pure raffle approach is best. But if we seek to vaccinate Americans as fast as possible to more quickly achieve the herd immunity that ends this pandemic, then something more like a fire sale approach is needed, where every vaccine must go and some chaos ensues. Of course, a balance can be struck. Targeting vaccines to those at greatest risk is sensible and ethical, and where we can avoid vaccine shortages and cancellations, we should. But we may have to choose to some extent between canceled vaccine appointments and leaving vaccines on the shelf. In a perfect world, that wouldn't be the case. Everyone would promptly receive an email in the proper order for a vaccination appointment that would occur at the appointed time. Vaccinations would be both fair and fast. But in the real world, it may just have to be a trade-off between both. So what do you think? Is our problem supply, or have we created a demand shortage? Please leave your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching. If you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe. Also, I've left a link to the second episode on vaccine prioritization, which ties into this video, so take a look. Until next time, stay safe.